They did it! They won! I'm so proud of the Browns, man. I'm Jack from Fantasy Can. Let's get into Week 4's video. So before we start, I just want to let you guys know that there are articles being posted every week on the website that has a link in the bio. I would really encourage you guys to check those out because they're really good, and they are a lot of material that's in this video, and some bonus parts are on the website. Also follow us on Instagram to stay updated on when those come out. Those are always posted. Follow our Twitter too. We post stuff on there also. So just get us on all the platforms, and trust me, you will not regret it. So to start off, we all heard bad news. Jimmy Garoppolo is after the season with a torn ACL. I just hate how this always happens to such good, promising players, but it is what it is. You're going to have to deal with it. Best options for replacing Jimmy G right now, honestly, Ryan Tannehill's a really good person to look at. He's putting up a decent amount of points this week. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later, but he's a good option. Fitzpatrick, if he's still there, he's an option. Trade for someone, obviously, you think is going to be good. There's a lot of people that you can probably grab that would help you out, just trying to get over the hole he left in your team. Hopefully he wasn't your starting quarterback, but if he was, that just really sucks. But Baker Mayfield is an option in redraft leagues. If no one has him yet, he's a good option. But yeah, so do your best to try and find a different guy. This moves us into Hot or Thought for this week, and if you don't know, Hot or Thought is me telling you guys about people who had some good weeks last week, and I'm going to talk about them and tell you whether or not they're going to be something that you want to invest in, something that, and if they're going to stay hot, or if there's something that's just really like a one-time thing that just probably shouldn't happen again. First off, for quarterbacks that are hot right now, I have Ryan Tannehill, which I talked about earlier in the video, and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan clearly has somehow returned to his former self, and I'm not really sure what changed, but either way, he's looking a lot better now, and when Matt Ryan is hot, you play Matty Ice. It's just that simple. And then with Ryan Tannehill, I like him a lot because he's actually been really consistent, surprisingly. Like, I don't know what flipped the switch this year, but he's doing a really good job, and he's definitely worth a daily fantasy play or streaming. Running backs who are hot right now. Chris Carson, I think, is a very talented back. Season got cut short last year, but he's coming back. He had a great week last week. Got around 20 carries, which is big when you're Seattle, which seems like he's going to be taking the lead running back role, hopefully. And I think that he's going to continue his hot streak with them, even though it's only been 1 week of him actually having a good outing. Tevin Coleman also is a guy who I think is really kind of coming into his own. He's always been a really good player, but hasn't really gotten as big of a shot as he would have liked. Back when Devonta Freeman had his big year, the only reason that Freeman really got as much volume as he did was because Coleman got injured. So because of that, Freeman got a chance to take over, and Coleman never regained a spot. But he was always really talented, and now that the opposite's happening, you can clearly see that he's someone that you're going to want on your team. Wide receiver, Mike Williams, my guy, is just popping off right now. Last week he had around 20 points, 2 touchdowns, 80 yards. It was awesome. Great to see. Obviously in Dynasty Leagues, if you got him, keep him, hold on to him. Trade for him if you can, if you don't got him. Then when it comes to other wide receivers that are doing really good, John Brown has been doing surprisingly really well. And I don't know what flipped the switch. Maybe it was just him being in Arizona that he didn't like for some reason, but now that he's in Baltimore, he is kicking some ass, and I really think that he is going to be continuously good for this year. I only have one tight end on my list, but it's someone who's been really good lately, and it's Kyle Rudolph. Obviously, he's already a big-name tight end, but he's also been putting up a lot of points, so you just really got to get him if you can, start him, and yeah, he's doing a great job. So now going into thoughts, quarterbacks, I got Josh Allen and Eli Manning. Allen might actually end up turning into something really great, and I'm not saying that he's gonna be bad or he should only be used once or whatever, but I do think that this season is not his season. I don't think this is the one time where he comes into his own. I could be wrong, but I really don't think he will be. He looks good, and he's probably gonna show some flashes, but I'm not really big on him at all right now. Then Eli Manning, obviously, he's a great player and a possible Hall of Famer, but right now it's just the Giants are just such a mess. It's just so ugly in New York. Both teams really just aren't looking good at all. and I just don't want to. I would never take a risk with Eli Manning, especially if I have a capable quarterback already. Running backs, I got TJ Yeldon on there first, and that's just because Fournette's coming back. Yeldon really isn't a bad player, and he's obviously shown that he's capable of putting up some good points and doing some good things. But with Fournette coming back, he's just not someone you really want to mess with at all. Next on the list, Wendell Smallwood. He's a running back for the Eagles. Same situation there with Jay coming back. I don't think he's going to get as big of a workload. And honestly, he's really not that talented of a player. So stay away from him too. But for these guys, obviously, it really wasn't that much of a stretch. It's just there weren't many running backs that actually did that great that I didn't think were good. This might come as a surprise to some people, but I put Jordy Nelson on there. And that's just because the Raiders are a mess. I know I said that about New York too, but let's be real, both teams just are looking like crap right now. So with Jordy Nelson, I know that Derek Carr has always seemed to have a thing for his number 2 wide receiver, or maybe just not Amari Cooper. I don't know. Either way, I just don't like Nelson because of just inconsistency. You give me like one more week of Nelson actually doing good, I'm going to hop on that bandwagon as fast as I can. But I just don't think that this is going to stick around for a very long time. Next, Tavon Austin on the Cowboys. Now, I mean, the Cowboys don't really have a wide receiver that you want at all, really, because they just look bad. They just look really bad. And normally it's a really good idea to stay away from the teams that are just struggling offensively. Like, even Zeke hasn't been putting up numbers, but, I mean, he's been getting plenty of yards, just no touchdowns. But it's just been ugly to watch the Cowboys play, and because of that, I want to stay far away from Austin, even though he's been having a decent time the past couple weeks. I just don't trust him. I don't trust anyone on that team, and I just want to stay away from him. Except for Zeke. I trust the hell out of Zeke, but, that's it. Again, only have one tight end on this list, which is a real shame because this guy is someone I have in my Dynasty League, and I need a tight end really bad. Tyler Eifert had a decent outing last week, got around 74 yards, which was great to see, but again, the trust is just not there because he has just disappointed me too many times, and I just don't trust him whatsoever. Of course, I'm playing him this week, but I have no other options, so I guess I just have to do it. So now after that, we're going to move into rankings really quick. So we're going to look at quarterbacks first. Starting off, we have Patrick Mahomes, just because he's been an absolute stud lately, followed by Breeze and Deshaun Watson. Gotta love that they're all on my Dynasty League team. That is just something that I love to see. Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins are all next. Russell Wilson's been really interesting to me just because of how shitty the Seahawks have been. But I mean, he's doing okay-ish, and there aren't as good options out there as him. So you just got to put him up there. Also, his matchup really isn't that bad this weekend, so let's just keep with it. So for running backs this week, starting off, we have Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, my boy, Saquon Barkley, James Conner, Jordan Howard, Kareem Hunt, Carlos Hyde, and Leonard Fournette. Now, Carlos Hyde has been a stud lately. People aren't giving him as much credit. I will say, not just to pat myself on the back a little bit, that I did call that he was actually going to have a good year. But then I totally backed off on that because I was too scared to have my own opinion. So, kind of a win, but not really. Anyway, back to rankings. I like Carlos Hyde a lot because he's just been an absolute dog for the Browns. I think that, honestly, even though Baker Mayfield really put him in the situation, he probably should have been the MVP of that game just because he had around 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, which was fantastic. The dude can flat out play, and the Browns are using him a lot, so make sure you have him on your team. Going into wide receivers, starting off with Michael Thomas, Antonio Brown, OBJ, Hopkins, Hill, Allen, Jones, Green, Evans, and Juju. So Juju Smith-Schuster is someone who I like a lot, and I think he's going to take over AB's spot sooner or later, especially if this drama continues. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be fantastic this week and weeks to come. And if you were able to pick him up probably in the later rounds, he's going to end up being an absolute steal and probably one of the best picks you've made. Tight ends, starting off with Travis Kelce this week, Gronk and Ertz. And those 3 of them are probably going to pretty much be on the top of my rankings every single week and just kind of get mixed up depending on their matchups. Following that, we got Jimmy Graham, George Kittle, even though Garoppolo was hurt, Kyle Rudolph, Jared Cook, Trey Burton, Austin Hooper, and then O.J. Howard. So looking more in depth about Kittle, I just really like him because of the talent that he has. So no matter who's throwing him the ball, I think he'll be able to produce. I'm a little scared just because I don't know like what his workload is really going to be in this offense and how much they're going to pass, considering they lost McKinnon and now Garoppolo, which is just crazy to me that you lose like just that big parts of your offense, and that just really sucks to be a 49ers fan right now. Defense, run through it. Jags, Seahawks, Chargers, Bears, Rams, Browns, Eagles, Texans, Packers, and Patriots. Now, near the end of that list, it is a little rough because of the matchups. There really were no one past, like, the Eagles that I liked anymore for defenses, so I kind of put the guys up there that I think will do okay, but it's going to be iffy. But yeah, so those are the defensive rankings for this week. So now we're going to move on into start and sits. First up, we have Andy Dalton playing Atlanta. I like this matchup, and Andy Dalton's been doing a good job lately, putting up some points, so I think that he's definitely worth a start this week. Next, the guy I really want to talk about, Phillip Rivers. He's playing San Francisco, and my God, has he been fantastic. He is so incredibly underrated, and I've never understood why. The man puts up crazy amounts of points and is solid for most weeks. People, like, just underrate him so much, and it bothers the hell out of me. You need to start Rivers this week if you have him, and if you don't have him, consider trading for him because he's honestly just this absolute like great quarterback. I mean, if you got a quarterback already who's solid, don't bother. But Rivers is a great guy to have on your team, and the stigma around him really needs to change. Sits this week, we're going to start off with Carson Wentz, and it's kind of matchup based as he's playing Tennessee, but it's also partially just because he really like isn't himself yet. I don't think. He didn't do a great job against Indy, but then again, they've been doing a good job of shutting down the passing game. But I still think that you should just hold off on Wentz for a little bit, especially if you have a better option, which I'm assuming you do. So stick with who you got for right now. Another sit we got for this week is Kirk Cousins. I know, I realize this video is being posted on a Thursday, and he's playing Thursday night, and whatever. You might not see this in time. But if you don't, subscribe. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, I'm not digging him this week. I think that the Rams are going to be able to shut him down. I mean, the Bills were able to last week, so like that kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit. But with the Rams, I think they're going to have a hard time bouncing back. Running backs, I want to start this week. Going to start off with Kerryon Johnson, and congratulations to the Lions for finally getting a guy to go over 100 yards. But Johnson's looking good. I think the Lions are going to start to use him as their featured back. There is some concerns just because, you know, he's really a little unproven. We don't know what's going to happen. And their matchup isn't the best playing Dallas, but, I mean, it's not the worst either. So I'm really not afraid to start him this week, and I think you probably should. Next is Royce Freeman. Now, I know that the guy has been kind of touchdown dependent, but 3 weeks in a row he's put up points. So I don't really care. He's clearly being used in that offense. Last week was his best one. And Lindsey's starting to be used a little bit less. So I think they're trying to make a statement about their first-round draft pick and kind of put him in there. But, I mean, I like the 1-2 punch, don't get me wrong. But I think for fantasy-wise, Freeman's going to be just fine. And I think he will end up taking over that backfield. Sits, we're actually sticking with the two same teams. How about that? Jay Ajayi first, because they're playing Tennessee, and they got a really good run defense. They're 30th against the run right now. Titans are, and the Eagles they've been good, but also they've been struggling a little bit. So I just think that Ajayi might not be a bad idea to sit if you can afford to. Then I have Cook, which again you might not have the availability to sit, but if you can do it, he's coming back off an injury. I don't know how good he's going to be, and he's playing a really tough defense, so I wouldn't want to mess with it too much. Starts for wide receivers. We got some young talent here. Will Fuller, big on him, was during the offseason. Big surprise, ended up being good. Deshaun Watson just loves throwing to him. He's got 2 touchdowns past 2 games, and he just looks great. So I think that you definitely got to start him, and it's really not so much based off matchup. It's just because he's been so good. He's at the point now where if he's playing and Watson's throwing the ball, he is a must start. He's just been too solid to not play. Also, Tyler Boyd, who just kind of came out of nowhere and started doing really good things. Obviously, they're playing Atlanta this week, and that's a good matchup for him. and he's just been looking great. Like, what can I say? He's been doing a great job. I think that you definitely got to start him this week. Next is Robert Woods on sits, just because they're playing Minnesota again. Like that. That's going to be a pretty defensive game, I think, for the most part. But either way, like I just don't really like Woods this week. He's coming off a good week, but I just don't think that he's a solid play right now. I didn't want to put him in the thought list because I know that he's a talented player and he's going to continue to have some good weeks. It's crazy how the Rams have 3 good wide receivers, but they do, and they're all fantasy relevant. But I don't want to start him this week. Following that, Josh Gordon, he hasn't done anything yet. It's really simple. He hasn't played with the Patriots yet. I want to see a game first before I know whether or not to start him. I think he could be good, and if you're feeling risky, definitely pull the trigger on it, because I think that eventually, I think that he's going to have a good game. Honestly, I just don't think that it's a good idea to put him out there his first game back. So for tight ends this week, we're gonna have Trey Burton to start off with, playing Tampa Bay. Big Bears guy, we all know. Anyway, so I think that he's kind of coming into his own, and Mitch is starting to throw to him a lot more, which is looking good. So I definitely want to start using him more often, and just because Tampa doesn't have a very good defense against the passing game or against tight ends, so I think that he's a good start this week. Coming in next, Austin Hooper. Kind of same situation, really, just with except for the chemistry with the quarterback that's been there. But he's coming into his own more so, and also good matchup, so I want to start him this week. Sits for tight ends, we're going to start off with Ricky Seals-Jones. The only real reason he had a good week last week, so he got a touchdown pass, big whoop. Anyway, I don't like him. I think that you should probably stay away from him. Honestly, he could have been considered a thought, because I just don't think he's going to do anything for the rest of the season. Following that, David Njoku, just because, like, what the hell, you know? Like, it just hasn't been working for him. And it also seems like Baker Mayfield doesn't like him as much as Tyrod Taylor does. So, I'm not a big fan of it. But it's either way, I still think that Njoku is someone that you should be sitting, at least for this week, just so we can see it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit us up. Please just give us some feedback about what you like, what you don't like about these posts, so we can make them better for you. And yeah, so thank you guys so much. Have a great week. Good luck.